Yes, I would put my money on it. I think that pending the goodwill of the Prime Ministers of Ireland and the United Kingdom, we can get a deal today.
So the structure of this is you have seen the text,
Yes.
sort of about 15 pages long.
Yes.
And on things like the citizens' rights and on the financial settlement, we're basically there.
Yeah, I would say that on the citizens' rights, there may still be some fine-tuning as to the complexity of the procedure, which can be a deterrent for people to seek a settled or resident status.
The settled status costs,
Yeah.
I don't know, £10, £15, or maybe as much as £60.
It's not so much the cost as the complexity of the procedure.
Okay.
And you want to make it as simple as possible. One application per family and stuff like that. That's number one. Number two, you need to make sure that we go to the maximum as to the recourse rights that EU citizens would have in the British judicial system. So, indeed, we cannot ask more from the British government than from any member state. You cannot mandate a Belgian jurisdiction to go to the ECJ to ask prejudicial questions. Yeah. Neither can you mandate any British court to do that. So we have to remain fair on that.
But some jurisdiction or some oversight of the ECJ of the UK will continue on the citizens' rights issue.
It's fairly indirect. As long as we have an independent authority in the UK where people can go if they feel that they've been mishandled by the British courts, then I would say that we have got from the British government the maximum of what they can do, and then in that sense we are there. And then on the money, I think that the needed concessions have been made by the British government.
The needed concessions have been made.
Well, it's
Is this capitulation?
No, it's not capitulation. It's coming to terms with reality. When you put your signature on a treaty 45 years ago and you sign every year a budget, well, anyone is expected to fulfill its commitments. And we never asked for more than that. So the British government recognized that it would honor all its commitments. Basically, it was said already in the Florence speech of Theresa May. It took a while to make that operational and to put that on paper. Now we have that. And again...
But you recognise that could mean, I know no numbers are in the text, but that could mean over 40 billion. But it could mean over 40 billion.
Yes, but then again, it's no more than what the UK would have paid being a member. We are not asking for more. And so, as long as the UK is a member, it has obligations. Once it is no longer a member, it has to fulfill the obligation it took as a member. But if there's new obligations to which the UK is not signatory, it doesn't have to fulfill them, of course.
Now, you haven't signed off the Ireland issue here because that will be a matter for the Dublin government. It can say yes or no to that issue, but you have some interesting reflections on what the United Kingdom looks about to agree to.
Yeah, I understand that, well, first the United Kingdom again comes to terms with reality. You cannot say on the one hand that you want to get out of the single market, the customs union and the jurisdiction of the ECJ, and that you want to remain faithful to the Good Friday Agreement. This is a contradiction in terms, at least on the island of Ireland. That's fact. That's just fact. I think that the British government has come to terms with that reality.
And in this draft that you have seen.
And that creates a special situation for Ireland and for Northern Ireland. So
a special situation for Ireland.
It is. And so I think that the discussions that we've seen the last few months have allowed the British government to realize, to really understand the implications of the Good Friday Agreement.
And so what we understand of the wording is full alignment, complete alignment between Northern Irish rules and Irish rules.
Basically, the British government would commit to maintain the full alignment of legislation where pertinent, of course. So single market and customs union legislation that might potentially create a border will remain fully aligned, so there's none. That's basically...
That sounds an awful lot like staying in the customs union or single market.
It may sound like it, at least for Northern Ireland, but then again, that's the only solution if you want to keep the Good Friday Agreement, period.
But this is not great for the Prime Minister's own coalition partners. Confidence and supply partners, I should say.
Well, I don't know, because, well, when you look at it from the perspective of the Northern Ireland citizens, they have everything to win by that. I mean, it's not like they would be disenfranchised. They would fully, of course, remain citizens of the United Kingdom. No one is disputing that. But it's in their best interest that the relationship between the northern and the southern part of the island of Ireland remained as smooth as they are today. It's in their interest as well.
But these seem like massive concessions from what the UK position was just a few months ago. What concessions has the European Union made?
Well, you know, when you decide to quit the European Union, the process is not really a negotiation. It's basically finding the terms under which you can get out. But it's not really a negotiation.
So you're not negotiating, you're just expecting the UK to kind of come on board.
I would say it's mostly about enforcing commitments that have been taken. Now, in Ireland, there's this Good Friday Agreement that comes on top of all the EU legislation. So, of course, that creates an additional constraint. But then again, the future relationship will be a real negotiation. And I'm very honest, those in the United Kingdom who say that it's also in the best interest of the EU27 to find a good agreement, I agree with them. Right. They're right. So we have a lot to lose. You know, there's nothing better than membership. So we know that withdrawal will be a lose-lose game. Yes, the United Kingdom stands to lose, but also the EU27. Let's face it. So what we should do now is limit the damage. I've said that from the outset, and we should now start the negotiation. The only thing I really deplore is that sufficient progress could have been declared in October, had the goodwill been there to come to terms with reality. You call that concessions. I think the British government came to terms with reality, and that's a good thing. So I commend them for doing that.
The red lines have shifted.
Well,
from the United Kingdom side, as far as
I'm sure that if you look at the situation from the perspective of Boris Johnson or Nigel Farage or Jacob Rees-Mogg, probably they will not be very happy. But then again, they had a problem with reality. So I know that, well, bumping into it may be a bit painful, but that's, again, life.
Does Brussels not have a problem with reality? Biggest trade
partner?
Sometimes we do.
Sometimes we do. And then again, this is why I'm eager to negotiate phase 2 and to negotiate the future relationship. And count on the Greens to be positive in trying to keep the closest links possible with the United Kingdom. We will.
So chances of a green light from you, a Green MEP, for this process today, and from the Juncker and Barnier?
If what I saw on paper is agreed by the leaders, then we will declare sufficient progress. I can tell you that.
Today?
Well, I mean, the Parliament will vote on that next week in Strasbourg. But I'm confident that if the text that I saw is agreed by the negotiators, then we will be able to declare sufficient progress at long last.
And who's done the best job in negotiation? Team Juncker or Team Davis?
Well, that's for you to decide. I think that they did a good job. When I looked cursorily to the 15-page draft agreement, I commend them for doing a good work, because now writing the withdrawal agreement from there will be relatively easy, because it's basically a draft withdrawal agreement that they wrote. And so congratulations to both teams. Well, it could be faster, I agree with that, but then again, that's life.